Everyone likes to have a well-built body. Especially men. To grow muscle, you have to exercise. That's why we should have an idea about the fundamentals of training for muscle growth. But how exactly can I build muscle? If you look at all the scientific literature out there, we can narrow it down, how muscle grows, to at least 3 to 4 different mechanisms. All of you who train in a gym, or engage in some kind of challenging physical activity, might have experienced that your muscles are getting swollen during those physical activities. Well, this is actually one of the muscle-building mechanisms, called self-swelling theory. Muscle cells sense swelling as a threat. Due to this stress, muscle cells tend to restructure themselves, and get larger. To apply self-swelling theory to your workout, you can either shorten your rest periods between sets, or perform supersets to increase the blood flow to the muscles. A superset is when you perform 2 sets of different exercises back-to-back, with no, or minimal rest period. Here, you can pair up 2 exercises that work the same muscle group like dumbbell curls and preacher curls. Or 2 exercises that work complementary muscle groups, like bench presses and pull-ups. However, some experienced bodybuilders superset more than 2 exercises. We have 2 types of muscle fibers as slow twitch muscle fibers and fast twitch muscle fibers. Slow twitch muscle fibers are good for endurance. Fast twitch muscle fibers are recruited with heavy lifting. When you recruit these fast twitch muscle fibers, they turn the protein synthesis process on, and your muscles grow. Let this be the second mechanism. The third mechanism is the damage caused to the muscle tissue. This can be done by either metabolic stress or mechanical stress. Every one of you might have experienced that burning sensation in your muscles when you train. This is due to lactic acid. When you exercise, your body needs to produce energy. The body prefers to generate most of its energy requirements using aerobic methods with oxygen. When you train hard, it requires energy production faster than our bodies can adequately deliver oxygen to produce energy, using only aerobic methods. So, we have to depend on anaerobic respiration in such cases. Here, oxygen is no longer needed. In the process of producing energy anaerobically, using glucose, lactic acid is created as a byproduct. What some researchers found, by isolating some muscle cells, and putting lactic acid onto them was that the muscle cells grow as a response to the stress caused by lactic acid. Shorter rest periods, supersets, and strip sets are ideal to build up metabolic stress. In strip sets, you do back-to-back sets of the same exercise by lowering the weight each set until failure. Now let's look at mechanical stress. This involves heavier lifting. If you are lifting with short rest periods, you can't lift as heavy as you could. So, the mechanical stress is less. When focusing on mechanical stress, rest about 3 to 5 minutes between sets, and lift as heavy as you can. Performing 4 to 8 repetitions per set will be enough. So, what kind of exercises should you be doing? As far as mass and optimizing the most anabolism is concerned, the compound movements are always going to be the center of your training. That's going to be things like squats, deadlifts, and bench presses. These compound movements tend to increase the testosterone levels in your body, which helps muscle growth and fat loss. But there is a difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding. If you look at bodybuilding, it's all about making the exercise harder. For instance, suppose that you are performing a bench press. If your goal is building muscle, your back should lay flat on the bench, and you should be focusing on the muscle. In contrast, if you are a power lifter, you should get an arch in your back and shorten the range of motion. Once those compound movements are in place, bodybuilding is also a sport of symmetry. So, you are going to focus on the isolation movements, such as bicep curls and cable triceps extensions. If you are a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, you might have heard the term, shock the muscles. In order to shock the muscles, we need to make some kind of changes in our workout plan. Here, changing your workout plan once in 2 or 3 months is enough. Using non-traditional lifting techniques will definitely shock your muscles to grow. For example, you can do some CrossFit type of movements once in a while. Do not work out without a proper plan, otherwise, you'll end up in a muscle building plateau. If your goal is to build muscle, don't do tons of cardio. Instead, try some high-intensity interval training, also known as HIIT, if you really want to lose fat. This means 10 to 30 seconds of sprint, followed by 10 seconds interval to rest and catch your breath. When we do that type of cardio, what happens is, in the first 10 seconds time, you can deplete your muscle energy stores by like 15%, and that might take like 60 minutes, with traditional cardio. What that does is, it sends a massive signal to your body, and turns on the fat-burning mechanisms, to re-energize the muscles. If you could do this in the morning, you'll be burning fat the rest of the day unintentionally. Therefore, this is a good way to lose fat, than doing hours of cardio. Injuries are the worst that could happen to a bodybuilder, because it takes months to recover, and that will eventually lead to muscle loss. The best way to avoid injury in the gym is by periodizing your training. This way, you do not have to lift heavy loads every day. Periodization is programmed change. One day per week, you might train traditional hypertrophy, which contains 8 to 12 repetitions per set, and 30 to 60 seconds rest periods. One day you might train heavy, like in a 6 to 8 repetition range. If you feel your joints are a little bit hurt, there is a new technique called blood flow restriction training. This technique restricts blood flow to a limb, then, you only have to lift 30% to 40% of your maximal weight to grow muscle. Let's see this in detail some other day. Get everything you can out of every single lift you do. For instance, if you are doing a set of 12 repetitions, every rep should count. So, always use weights that you can perform the exercise, with proper form, focusing on the muscle. It's a known fact that, when people are focusing on a muscle, they activate more of it. Going through just the motions, will give you less results. This is also termed as mind-muscle connection. So, in this video, we discussed about a few science-based muscle building techniques, and how to apply them into your workout. Then, we looked at the exercises that optimize building muscle, how to shop the muscle, how to choose the right type of cardio, and how to avoid injuries. I hope this helps to have a basic idea about the fundamentals of training for muscle growth. See you again in another video. Until then, train hard and smart.